Hey friends, back with you today for part 2 of my conversation with Florence and Romano. She is the author of Build Your Village, a guide to finding joy and community in every stage of life. And as you heard in part 1, we talked all about kind of like also, aside from just the baby stuff, is not feeling like you're behind. And I think that was such an important thing to talk about, even though it's not necessarily about the baby, it's about you. Everybody comes into their own in a different time, in a different way, and has a different path. So please remember that. But part 2, we're talking a lot. Kels, want to jump in with some of the things we're talking about in part 2?
Absolutely. Part 2, we're talking about an extension. Oh, this was interesting. She talks about how your nanny should be an extension of your eyes, your ears, and your heart. I wrote that down because I really like that. She also gave a quick little, we were talking about how you can say things diplomatically but kindly, and she was like, you can say what you
stink.
mean. Yeah, exactly. But she was like, you can say what you mean and not say it mean.
Yes, I love that.
I really loved that. So yeah, she's great. This was such a fun combo. And like you said, Marie, you actually mentioned this. It was like, it's nice that it wasn't just baby stuff. Like, I really enjoyed that, and I'm not having a kid. So it's so cool. Everyone can learn, and yeah, she was great. That was really fun.
All right, well, friends, get ready for part 2. Here it comes. Let's talk a little bit about the transitions.
Yes. The transitions.
I'm going to let you roll with it.
Well, one thing I want to bring up about the transition about, let's say, the nanny, because this seems to be a very popular topic. I think, Maria, it's now 65% of people in America today have a nanny or a caretaker in their life. I mean, that's an enormous statistic. And it's not a trend. It's part of our culture now. People need other people to help them raise their children. And there is nothing wrong with that. And that is the first thing I want to say, because I think most of the time people think if they have to have that nanny or that daycare, there's this shame. And I'm going to talk about this as part of the transition. When you are deciding how you are going to care for this child, bring in that nanny, or it's going to be daycare, or it's going to be a mother-in-law or a family member or a friend or whomever it is, there are two sides of the street, and this is where the shaming comes in. I have seen the moms who work and the moms who don't throw mud at each other. And this is ugly. And why are we doing this? I don't even know why we're still doing this. I can't believe I still have to talk about this half the time, because it's like, aren't we supposed to be lifting each other up, especially as women? That's our job, is to surround each other with that love and support. So however you design your family, however you decide you are going to raise this family, working mom or stay-at-home mom, whatever it is, but work is involved in both.
Here's the thing is both wish they could be on the opposite side, probably. So that's what's coming out. Like, the one who's at home is probably so burdened and stressed and exhausted. And, at some point, I've watched people who are stay-at-home moms, and they start to kind of like lose it a little because it's just goo goo gaga and diapers and whatever. And when the husband comes home, they're just like, right?
Here's the baby.
Yeah. And so, so there's that. And then there's the other side that's just working nonstop and just so guilty and wishing they could be home with their baby. They still wish they want to be working. But there's a conflict. So there's conflict on both sides. And that's why they're throwing mud at each other, because it's always, you think the grass is greener and you wish you had that, so you have to judge it.
Right. That's exactly it. And I think that the guilt that goes along with both of those things too, and this is an important part of the transition, because you're going to feel a lot of different things. Most moms and dads do. This guilt part of it, the guilt for the ones that are staying home with their children, when they have those moments of recognition of, I'm bored, I'm stressed, I'm tired of being touched all day by my kids, I have nothing left to give, I have no time to myself, I feel guilty, I wanted this child so badly, but I am stressed out and I am tired and I am over it today and I feel like I'm drowning. The guilt that goes along with those real, honest feelings, that is something I want everyone to pay attention to, because no feeling is wrong. Ever, ever, ever. What you feel, that's how you feel. The reaction to that feeling is what always has to be addressed. But that breaks my heart, because I think that when those moms and dads allow that guilt to wash over them and take over them. Let it wash over you, but to take over you and then debilitate you in some way, that's the issue then, because those feelings are not wrong. Of course you're going to be tired. Of course you're going to be stressed. And this is something that's true too. There's a disproportionate amount of duty that falls on one parent sometimes. And sometimes it's the dad, sometimes it's whatever it is. But when that happens, it breeds resentment about that then. Like you said, the parent comes home and you're like, I've been here all day suffering through this, and you have no idea what I'm going through on a daily basis. You don't know what I'm feeling. And then there's the other side of it for the working mom who, is entrusting her child to someone. And perhaps it is a perfect stranger. It's not a mother-in-law or a family member. And that takes an incredible amount of trust to know that you can hand that most precious possession over to someone and they're going to be influential in your child's life. And that you are choosing to go and make that living, and this is also something hard for moms to admit, that and this is a line from Sex and the City, if you ever saw the Sex and the City movie, where Miranda says, I love my son, but being a mom is not enough. I love my job too. And why mothers feel like they have to make that choice and it makes one less valuable than the other, that guilt comes into it as well. So I know I'm giving a lot of examples here, but the common denominator is that guilt, and allowing yourself to know that during these moments of transition, as your child gets older and you're deciding who in the village is going to be with you, who in the village is going to be supporting you, loving the child, who you're asking for help from, those feelings of guilt and whatever else comes up is normal, and it doesn't make you a bad parent.
Yeah, I had someone who was close to us, keyword was, who was judgmental about the fact that we were going with a surrogate. And Kevin said, well, Maria's doctor said that she can't get pregnant. It's not safe with whatever's left brain tumor-wise in her head because hormones grow things, so they worry that the tumor would grow. I just don't understand that. I don't get it. I just don't get it. Why can't she carry? And I said, Kevin, that's the last conversation we're having with that person, because that's not somebody we need around us in this journey.
No, ma'am.
And
no.
I was like, and it's just one of those judgmental moms. And I was like, this is just so unkind. And I'm sorry, are you a neurosurgeon?
Really?
What are your qualifications to be judging the number one neurosurgeon in the world, Savice? But that's just a whole other story. So we've already gotten a little taste of it. But, for me, one of the things that's been funny is I keep getting job offers in an abundant, obnoxious amount for around the baby's born. Around the time I don't know why it's happening. And so I had to have a conversation with my agents, and they're like, we know you're having the baby. And I said, yes. I said, here are some facts. One, I'm not giving birth. So it's not like there's a C-section or recovery time or anything like that for me.
Right.
Two, I'm going to have help, my dad, my husband, a nanny, whatever. I said, three, I don't want to do anything unless it is absolutely like something I can't say no to. But if something I can't say no to comes up, I'm going to have to make a decision then. But I still am technically the breadwinner. I have to keep the lights on. I have to keep, paying for everything. And so if I have to make a decision as, let's say, the dad in the house, right? Dad goes to work. So the roles are a little different in our house. Not that, it is what it is, but that's been an interesting thing, because I'm like, wow, is this like a test? What's going on here?
But you know what? I think it's a really great test because, being as talented and wonderful as you are, I know those opportunities in your life will continue to come as your career grows and grows and grows. And you're going to continue to make career decisions while being a mom. That's one that's going to be a constant for you. And so whether it's at the beginning of this baby's life or a few months from now or a few years from now, those career decisions you're making will still allow you the opportunity to be the most wonderful mother. And I always say to my girlfriends, my that are the working moms, and oftentimes are the breadwinners in their family too. Gender roles is a whole different conversation too. And I'm sure you and Kevin have had it. I always say to my girlfriends when they're having those dark moments of, oh gosh, I'm missing things, and I hate that I can't be there for this or X, Y, and Z. And I said, but look at what you're showing your kids. Look at the person you are and the inspiration you are to your children. Imagine the Mother's Day cards those kids are going to write you one day, especially those daughters, and the sentiments they're going to be in those cards about how they're watching their mother, be this magnificent creature, who shows them that so much is possible. So I think in those moments, Maria, I want you to remember that and keep that tucked in your heart. And when you're making those decisions, you're going to make it with the best intentions of your daughter, and you're doing it for your daughter too, making these career decisions so you can continue to provide. But also,
yeah, because it's not about me; it's about providing.
Right.
I don't care. I'm here.
No.
Right.
Yeah, but you're allowing her to be able to grow up in the type of world and life that you want her to grow up in. And that's because you're going to be able to allow that. You're facilitating that. But you also need to nourish yourself. It's that put your oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help other people. So what does that look like for you in your life and other moms and dads out there as you go through these transitions? The only way you're going to be able to continue raising your family, being a wife and mother, or, whatever it is in your life, the roles you play, somehow you have to take care of yourself. Somehow that oxygen mask has to go on yourself first in order to keep going. Because it sounds like a lot of people rely on you, Maria, and this little baby rely on you too.
For sure.
You have to nourish yourself first, water yourself first.
Yeah. I mean, I take care of my dad. I always took care of my mom too. I've always had,
The caretaker.
Yeah, I've always had it all on my shoulders. So, but the cool thing is especially with this show, I get to work from home. And so I'm going to get to be an at-home mom, but at the same time be able to do my work because most of my stuff is here. And so I feel like I'm going to get the best of both worlds, which is exciting.
You will. And I think she'll be sitting right there with you on your lap as you're doing these podcasts.
Absolutely.
She's going to be ready to go. She'll have a gift for Gab. No, she'll be 2 years old, ready to host her own podcast.
Oh, for sure. I have no doubt. Okay, so baby nanny transition to an official nanny. So that's one of the things I've been thinking about. Yeah. By the way, if you have any Greek nannies, I'm searching for a Greek nanny. I am so focused on it because I really want my baby to speak Greek like I did.
Okay.
And I feel like a Greek nanny would be amazing in our house and make sure that language is really cemented in. It was my first language, and I'm so grateful that I have it, but it can't just be me talking to her.
Sure.
So
I think that's a great idea.
So I know that it'll be different, but my dogs, like we have, Violetta here, and she helps us. My dogs are obsessed with Violetta, and there are moments where I'm like, they love her more than me. But I was telling Kelsey earlier, it's in the most loving way that I'll get like a little jelly where I'm like, they love her more than me. But that makes me so happy because that means that when I'm not there, they're so loved and protected, and she looks at them like they're hers. So that's great. But I do know it could be different with a baby. Right? Mm-hmm. If your baby seems to love the nanny more, that might hurt actually, for real.
It's never more though, Maria. They never love you more. And I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples. So one of the families that I worked for, the mom had her first daughter. She was going back to work. And that day I walked in, she handed me this little 2-month-old baby. And she had this little sparkle in her eye, the mom, of going back to work and having adult conversations and providing for her family. And I was thrilled for her. But you could also see kind of her heart just like, pounding out of her chest. And I said, it's all going to be good. Everything's going to be fine. I'm going to send you pictures and videos, and you're going to see everything happen in real time. And after a few months, the baby got older and I was leaving to go home that night. And the little girl, ran after, me, crying. She didn't want me to leave, and I could see the mom's face. And I said, look at me. I said, she is going to be fine in 1 minute when I walk out that door, and she'll be so happy to be with you. And she said, no, I'm not worried. I'm not worried. She said, yes, it stings a little bit, but she said, I know that she loves you. And that is all I could ask for. And yes, you're right. It's hard for me to watch, but I know that this is what I wanted. This is the best scenario. So exactly what you're saying. I think you absolutely can apply it to having a baby, and it will sting. Let's say the quiet part out loud. No one likes to see that. Even I get upset when I'm with my friend's baby or something, and like another friend is with me and they want to go to Aunt Casey instead of Aunt Lo. That's the kids call me Aunt Lo. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, I was like, this is horrible. Are you supposed to love me more? So it's totally a human reaction. And let's say the quiet part out loud. It's going to sting. You're not going to love it, but you're going to move past that moment. The child hopefully loves that nanny the way they would a godparent or an aunt or uncle. Maria, you'd, want them to love them the same way you love your extended family, and you want them to have that relationship. So here's the holy grail moment then. So a few years ago, I went to a wedding, and all the kids that I've ever nannied for, I've stayed in touch with all of them. I've gone to their graduations, weddings, all of that. So I go to a wedding and I see one of the girls that I nannied for. I hadn't seen her in years. She moved to the East Coast. We see each other across the dance floor. And it's like a movie moment, it's like almost slow motion, and we're like running toward each other, give each other a big hug. And when I pull back from her, she has tears in her eyes. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. And she said, Florence Ann, I have to tell you, you are still the voice in my head all these years later. And I just cried. And that to me was the moment. I knew that in that child's life, I had done at least something right. Not that her parents weren't important or anything like that. I just got to be part of the nest. I got to be part of the village and someone that got to love her and be with her. So, those are two, drastically different. There's the baby version of it, and then there's the adult version of it. But that's the inspiration behind it, is for those of you out there that are looking for a nanny or daycare or whatever it is, when you are deciding who to bring into your family, that is what it is. You are bringing in, hopefully, a family member. You want them to be an extension, Maria, of your eyes, ears, and heart. That's always what I say about a caretaker. They can have different values from you, of course, or look different than you or be different than you in some ways, but there has to be some sort of symbiotic relationship there, some sort of common denominators of values, because you have to think about, who do you want influencing your child? This is someone who's going to do that on a big level. So as you're making those decisions, just like you said to me, you want this person to speak Greek because that's a value that's important to you. So you're already doing that vetting because you're thinking about what, again, did you take from your childhood that you liked and want to continue, what you want for her.
And background checks.
Yes.
Can I tell you what happened with me? So I was searching for a baby nurse, and everyone's like, oh my God, you're so behind the ball. Like the second we're pregnant, we reach out to the baby nurse and we lock them in. I'm like, oh God, you guys are so LA. But, and they had such panic and fear. And I guess like after everything I've done with the show, I've just learned that like, it's all good. All will work out. Of course, most of the baby nurses I reached out to were available, especially exactly on the date of the baby's due date. And I was like, isn't this funny? So anyway, I found one, and she sounded lovely. She was great. I checked her references. I had conversations with the people that she had just worked with. They were all like glowing recommendations. I'm like, okay. So this is when a little bit of that fear kicked in. I'm like, lock her in. Great. Perfect. Yeah. So I did. Right. And then like 2 weeks ago, I go, wait a second. I didn't hire an assistant without a background check. We're not going to do one on the nanny? What the heck? Like that just like slipped my head. Yeah, and so I was like, we need to do a background check.
And did you find
really funny. Well,
did you find anything there?
No. We're in the process of doing it all. But it was just funny because I was like, oh, you just kind of I don't know how it happens, but they all make you think that you're so behind the ball. And I was like, I was fine. Then when I got her, I was like, okay, we definitely got to lock her in because she's awesome. I love her. Yeah. And then I woke up one day and I go, wait a second. Little thing called the background check we got to do. But you got to do background checks. Is there anything else that people have to do when they're bringing in a caretaker into their home?
I always think a shadow period is really imperative. You don't want to just bring that nanny in and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, great, I'll see you later. You want the nanny to be there to experience and observe kind of the rhythm of your household and how you like to handle things. You want them to be able to keep, track people. I used to do it just old school, write it down in a journal. Like, you want everything from like when the baby poops and eats and the whole thing when they're younger.
I need a journal for the baby.
Yes. Need a journal for the baby.
Ooh,
yeah.
Kelsey, email me this.
Journal for the baby.
You got to email me yesterday's stuff too. I haven't gotten yesterday's stuff too. I keep having to have Kelsey remind me of stuff. Go ahead.
But see, can I tell you, I do that even with my friends too. They'll literally write me when they're like in that first part of having the baby and they're like, I don't know what to do with this. So I'm telling you these 5 things right now. Can you please remind me later that you do these things? That's what you lean on Kelsey, lean on your village to do that sort of thing. But you do want, you do want to have a trial period, I would say. And not that they might be fired after 2 weeks, but you want to let them observe you and the rhythm of the house and what you're doing and how you like things done. And again, your baby is going to be young, but you want to also observe how they are with the baby. People can come with the most glowing recommendations in the world. And can I tell you that sometimes I have seen like other nannies where they're like have all this experience and stuff, and then they go to like pick up the baby and I'm like, looks like you're picking up like a cantaloupe. Like, I don't know what's happening here. Like I'm like, it's like you learn a lot from body language. You want to pay attention to how the nanny dresses, hygiene, all of those things, how they speak.
I thought about the hygiene thing.
Yes. Oh yes.
How do you have that conversation if they're not showering and they smell, or God only knows?
Well, again, you can say what you mean and not say it mean, right? That's always what I say in life, in terms of delivery. But again, I want to empower you, Maria, and anyone else out there. This is your baby. This is your family that you are protecting. You are mama bear. So if you don't like how something's going, you speak up about it. Again, you can deliver it in a way that's kind, of course. But if it's not going the way that you want it to go, or it's again, there's a hygiene issue or a personality issue, or I don't know, do you have nanny cams? Let me ask you that, by the way. How do you feel about nanny cams?
I have them. Yeah. I haven't installed them yet.
I think you should do it. It gives you peace of mind, from a former nanny herself who is an advocate of nanny cams. Now, of course, every state is different regarding like what the laws are. Some of them, like you can't have them in certain rooms and you can't have audio. It's not permissible in court. And like, I think in Illinois where I live, you can't use audio in court, but not that we don't want to go down that road. You're going to court, but if you were to use it for any reason like that. But I will give you an example of why a nanny cam is important. A friend of mine, she had a nanny and her child accidentally in her crib broke her arm. She did something funny and like she was jumping, did something and fell down.
Oh my God.
And it was a strange, very freak accident. And they were certain that there was some sort of negligence going on, right? Like there's no way this couldn't have just been an accident. Well, the nanny said, no, I'm telling you, this is what happened. I came in the room and she was crying. She was waking up from a nap. And they went back to the nanny cam and they saw that's exactly what happened. So
Wow.
It was, verification. It's not that you don't trust. And I think that's an important note too. If you have a nanny cam or you do things like that, people are like, oh my gosh, you're just, paranoid. And you should be able to trust another human being with your child. And
No, no, you shouldn't until they've earned it.
Until they've earned it. Exactly. And they mean that you don't believe in trust.
Yeah.
It just means that it's trust, but verify. I mean, why not? I mean, again, it's your most precious possession.
I had nanny cams in my mom's room when she was in hospice, and I had caretakers in there. I watched, I got to see one situation where the nurse was pouring water. My mom's laying in bed, and she's pouring the water down her throat. My mom's choking, and I'm in my room. When I say I flew like Superwoman, I didn't even touch stairs. I just made it to the bottom, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, she's not drinking. I go, she can't. She's dying. What are you doing? You're choking her. And I stayed calm like this, but I had this kind of tone with her, like, I'm going to freaking kill you.
Yeah. Well,
And she just was so defiant, and she was on a plane the next day.
Yeah.
Out.
Well, yes.
No.
I mean, yeah. But again, that exact situation is exactly why nanny cams, all of that, you need to have it so you can have that peace of mind. I always tell parents, the whole reason you have this nanny is so you can go to work or do whatever it is that you're doing. If you don't have the peace of mind, then what are you doing? I mean, you're just going to be worried the whole time you're gone. And that's not going to help you either. You're not going to be focused. You're not going to be present. So going back to, what you're looking for, whether it's a hygiene or issue or personality, or, you're watching the nanny cam and the nanny's talking on the phone all the time, cursing up a storm in front of your kid. I mean, these are things you have to address, and you can't be afraid to address them. I mean,
how do you address the hygiene thing, pleese? Because I even have a friend in life who I feel so bad. There's definitely a hygiene issue, and I don't know what to do. It's that's like the most embarrassing thing for me to have to say to somebody.
This is how I tend to deal with awkward situations like that. If it were me.
My dad has bad breath sometimes. I feel bad telling him, like, Dad.
Do you ever watch Sebastian Maniscalco?
No.
Maria. Oh my God. Oh, Maria, you have to watch a stand-up comedian. Sebastian, he's so funny. He's old school Italian, but it applies to Greek, everything. And he talks about how in a family like we grew up in, if you have a problem, people are going to tell you you have a problem. Like, that's my family. Like, so they would tell you, like, you stink, or something like that. That's what my mom would say to me. But if it were me and I was trying to have this conversation with my
the person who's handling your child.
And again, that's an issue too, so I would say probably put it on me and say, you know what, let's call her Gail. Gail, for me, gosh, I'm a person that likes to take like 2 showers a day. I would turn it on me, like what my preferences are.
I know I'm a little crazy, but
and you could say that. Yeah, you can, again, make a joke out of it with yourself to make her feel more comfortable about it. But that's what I would do. And I would say, that's me. I've always kind of been that way. I really want to make sure also, you can put it on the child in terms of bathing, what the schedule is there. And you could say, can I ask, how often, do you actually, shower, do something like that. I know that might sound crazy, but if she thinks you're asking for maybe her opinion of it versus you giving criticism over her, see what the answer is perhaps. And if she's like, well, I really only every, few days or something like that. And then maybe that's an opportunity then after that and be like, it would really make me feel better just because, brand new baby. And, I would really I would prefer it if it's okay with you. If you'd be okay with, daily, daily hygiene practice or something.
Maybe this
like
is something I cut off at the pass. And in a conversation soon or a text, I just say, hey, I just want to make sure we're on the same page on hygiene. I want to make sure that the baby's safe so that there's daily showers and daily brushing of teeth and all of that. So I know this is probably so obvious, but I just want to make sure we lay everything out on the table before you move in.
With the baby nurse?
Really important. Yeah. I think
you can lay that out. Again, it's
better
the
before.
Better before. I mean, exactly. I mean, this was a theory if this was happening currently and you didn't know what to do about it. But I'd say expectations first. And, people are not mind readers either. So hygiene aside, if there are specific things that you want in your family, certain things that you want the nanny to do, let me use this as an example. Some people are very, very cognizant and very intentional about education. Now, I don't know what you want to do, Maria, but you want the baby to learn Greek, wonderful. But also too, there are families that put an emphasis on education. So are you expecting that nanny to be working with your child in an educational capacity, learning, and the skills, the milestones that they should be hitting at every, at every, few months or whatever it is. That's also an expectation, I think, that's very important to talk to the nanny about, because they don't have to come with a degree with childcare education or anything like that. But certainly if you want them working on those things, you need to make those things known to them.
Yeah.
Those aren't just reflexive things, I would say. You have to actually ask for what you want and what your expectations are.
That makes sense. And that would be important to me. Okay. So building your community. How do we build our community? I heard, and this was funny, in the moment of talking about how lack of community, and LA is just tough because it's so spread out. So it's not
Right.
really set up for community, and so everything here is event based, and I've just been so over that. Like everything's an
Yeah.
event, and there's no just let's just hang out and be. And so
You gotta come to Chicago, Maria. You
I
gotta come to
know.
the Midwest
I
here.
love Chicago. She was like, but this person I was chatting with, she goes, Maria, the community comes to you. People love babies and they come to you. So I was like,
do.
you know what's so funny is here I have been crying forever about needing community, almost moved like a month ago again because of it. And I think she's going to be the one that brings me my community, which is going to be so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is true. I think there's many different ways to build that community, and I talk about 6 different villagers that you have in your life that you look for. And so we don't have to go through the definitions of all 6, but they're accepting, dependable, cheerleader, communicator, organizer, and healer. And I say these are the 6 archetypes. And it's not just about who do you need in your village. It's also asking you to look at yourself and think, well, who am I of these 6 too? Because this is where I think people start to get nervous about the village building is they look at their life and the landscape of it currently and this ecosystem that they have, and they think, I don't have what I need. But there is low-hanging fruit. Everywhere you look, there probably are people that go into these categories. And you start thinking, okay, I do have a couple of these people, but these are where my gaps are. And this is where I can focus on finding those people. But then also, who am I of these 6 people for other people? Who am I in other people's villages? That also know thyself, component of it, that is a very big piece of figuring out how you figure out the village. And also too, 2 things that no one, again, the quiet part out loud. Sometimes you have the wrong people sitting in the wrong seats. Like you may have a friend that is failing you constantly. And you're like, why? I love this person, but man, they are falling short every time. Well, maybe you have that person sitting in the healer seat, the person I define as the one that goes with you through it, whatever it is in life, doesn't solve it for you, doesn't fix it for you. They're there next to you. Maybe they're sitting in that healer seat and they're really not that person. They're the organizer. They're the ones that you can count on to delegate, to get things done. They're not the emotional support system for you necessarily. Maybe you need to shuffle the deck, move the chess pieces around, and maybe that will strengthen some of your relationships because you have to meet people where they are, not where you want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot about relationship building too. And then again, the other quiet part out loud. Sometimes you need to fire people from the village. Like the person you mentioned that gave you that horrible opinion about surrogacy. Yeah, that person's gone. No reason to have them in your village. And the village burns down for a lot of reasons. The village is lost for a lot of reasons, whether it's death or divorce or a breakup or a falling out. And it's recasting that village. Life really is like looking at it kind of like a movie or a play and casting those main characters. So it's the awareness of who am I and what do I need, but also who am I to others? And then learning that it's kind of like that circle. And like you said, people will start to gravitate towards you because of that baby. But going back to what we originally talked about, it's being intentional too about figuring out who you're going to populate in that village, because those are going to be the biggest influences in your life. They are the ones that you're going to count on. And as you become a mom, you're going to start opening up your world now to different groups of people that are moms at different times in their life. You're going to have a bond now with people in a different way that you never did before. It's going to change you, and it's going to change your friendship circles.
Yeah, it's already changing me because I already see how I have to eliminate a lot of stressful situations, things that aren't working. I want to just clear all of it out and have only kind of, the right things, the right recipe around me and this house and the energy and even like when I meet people, I'm like, how do I feel around them? Oh, they kind of, they have some interesting energy. Yeah, not interested in adding them into the group and into my life. And so I'm like, we'll just tiptoe away from them. And So I'm watching things much more carefully, and God's been cleaning up too, big time. And I'm like left and right, I'm like, wait, why is that person gone out? Oh, okay, that must be for a reason. Okay, well, lots of stuff's happening just before this child comes. Clearly, it's happening. But I'm really excited, and I'm grateful because I got to send that list to this baby nurse to make sure we're good on baby cameras, which I did mention to her we were going to do it, but I'm going to write it down so it's in writing. And then also the hygiene. Kelsey, remind me. But this has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much. I feel like I'm a little bit more ready than I was before.
You know what? And you never, like they always say, you're never totally ready. And so just be open to it, because as soon as that baby's in your arms, everything we probably talked about is just going to go somewhere over in this nebulous area, because all of a sudden you're going to have this new power within you. And, that's going to change the energy of your life too. That's going to change how you make decisions and how your heart works, how your mind works. So just be open to letting that floodgate open, because it's going to be a totally different experience, and one you've waited so long for.
I know. I'm really excited. Thank you so much. All right. She's awesome.
She was really fun.
And
good energy.
Yeah, good energy, but also I know we hear it a lot, but it is really important to have us all realize that, you know, you're going to have guilt. You're going to feel all kinds of things. You have to have a little empathy with yourself. So please remind me of that as I'm going through all of this and thinking I'm not doing it right and getting stressed. But also, if you're watching this and you've been the one judging, it's okay, right? We all do it. We've all done it. I have really enjoyed The Judgment Detox by Gabby Bernstein, who's been on this show before. And I really think that it made an impact on me. So one of the things Kevin always loves is anytime he goes to judge, I was like, you don't know their story. So we see somebody on the street or whatever, and I'm like, but we don't know their story. And that's really helped both of us just always remember to have empathy for other people. And so you never know what's going on behind closed doors and what someone's dealing with. I think about things right now where I'm like, wow, if that person knew what I was really going through, they definitely wouldn't have said that. But that's not their privilege to know it. They're not supposed to know it. So we have to try to act in that manner. And if you've been judged, know it's because the other person is slightly jelly donuts. And so it goes both ways. Or they're unhappy, and it's a them thing. It's not a you thing. So I hope this is helpful to you, because it was definitely helpful to me. Like I said, if you love this episode or both the episodes or any of the episodes, please share it with a friend. It helps them, I know, because if it helped you, it will help them, but it also helps us get this message out to more people. So we're super grateful for our community here, the Heal Squad. Oh, if you haven't gotten any merch, by the way, don't forget, we've got our Heal Squad merch up on the website, mariamenounos.com. I think you can go to healsquad.com too, right?
They can.
Yeah, so go to healsquad.com if you don't know how to spell my last name. And get yourself a Heal Squad shirt. Remind yourself that you're on this healing journey with us. And then be identifiable to the rest of the community. That's what I love about it. In the meantime, be nice people, make good choices, and be present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.